Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for attending our 2025 State of the City. I would like to introduce a couple of folks here with us this evening. Hayden Jenkins is here representing Senator Murray's office. And Zachary Heffron is here representing Senator Cantwell's office. And Shelby Kremenich is here representing Representative Delbenny's office. Would also like to welcome Snohomish County Councilmember Jared Mead with us this evening. And I'd like to introduce our Washington State delegation. They have a few brief remarks, and first we'll hear from Senator Solomon.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out. We had a legislative session that ended about 3-4 weeks ago, and it was super intense. We had a budget deficit, so we were working on how to essentially balance the budget and get out of there on time, so we did it. And then I also had a laser focus on housing as chair of the local government committee in the Senate. And I was asked to speak briefly about the middle housing bill. The middle housing plan fits with a lot of the other bills that we've been passing, and the idea is to make sure there's more housing opportunity for folks, more types of housing available in our communities, not over there, but anywhere in our communities. But it will fit the form and function of single family. So in other words, the outside look of it should fit right in, should look like the single family neighborhoods. So I'm excited about that. And then I would just say we understand very clearly that there's a housing affordability crisis, and it is a huge priority for folks. And so most of what I've been working on is that, and we're chipping away at it. We've passed a number of bills. But we've, to some extent, had a system of non-housing building in the past, and we're trying to shift it over to housing, building housing. And so there's no one quick solution, but every year we chip away at it little by little, and I think that's all you can do. But we are making progress, and we know it's a problem. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Now we'll hear from Representative Ryu.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for hosting us and the wonderful food we got to eat. So I'm Cindy Ryu, State Representative from the 32nd LD, which I am very proud to be representing Mountlake Terrace, because I asked for Mountlake Terrace to be represented by us when we did the last, what do we call it? Every 10 years we do the lines again, and so I'm very happy to have Mountlake Terrace included in the 32nd District. So as Senator Solomon mentioned, housing has been a huge priority for us, and as a former Housing Committee Chair, I know that we have made historic investments in affordable housing, and in the last 7-8 years, we've passed 26 housing supply bills. And in addition to that, you can't just have housing first, you also have to invest in other areas such as behavioral health, which I'm sure Representative Davis will go into, workforce, as well as facilities, access to quality, affordable childcare for working parents, as well as protection of clean air and water. And so we knew that we needed to make more progress on housing supply and affordability to bring down the cost of housing for working families And so the budget team started working last summer. And so by the time the budget, the House, so just so you know, the House writes the budget, and then the Senate gets to pass theirs after, of course, a whole bunch of negotiations. So when they rolled out our budget on March 24th, we prioritized protecting investments that keep Washingtonians housed, fed, healthy, and reducing harm wherever possible. And you probably have heard a whole bunch of concerns about what were not funded or cut, but especially with the huge balance, lack of balance, I guess, and then also worrying about the federal actions that are continuing to unsettle us and making us less stable as we go forward, especially from wildfires or even the bomb cyclone, which was turned down by FEMA, even though we qualified for it with double the amount of damage than what typically would have been funded. I believe the governor ended up having to line veto certain items in yesterday's signing of the budget. So be considerate of what he's done, please, even if it may have been your program, but it was very thoughtfully put together, and we worked super hard on that. And so just to give you an update on policies, because besides the budget, we also worked on policy bills, and all 5 of my bills were signed by the governor without being vetoed. The ones that you might be interested in is that hate crime offenses were difficult to prosecute. And so we tweaked it. It's just a 5-word amendment to existing law, but King County Prosecutor's Office and others wanted to make sure it was really clear whether it's partly or in whole a hate crime that it is prosecuted and juries are not confused. Another one is the public facilities districts. I don't know if you have one here or not, but they wanted extra years because buildings can last 55 to 65 years if they're kept well. And so we only allowed them to bond them for 40 years. So we just gave them another 15 years so that they can actually come up with more money and not come to the state for more money, which was a win-win for all of us. And so that bill was also introduced. And then lastly, even though we were not able to pass any AI regulation bills or even a privacy bill, we were able to pass a forged digital likeness bill, which unfortunately, I didn't have time to stakeholder it, to get a whole bunch of people behind it. So when the bill was being signed, it was just me and the governor. But I said, thank you for signing it, because if anybody comes up with a really good digital likeness of you, voice or image, and they pass it on, it can damage people's reputations and do a lot of harm. So that is in the books now. And so hopefully the bad actors don't use progress in AI and other digital likeness. You know, it's super easy to make those now to do you harm. So that's it. Thank you so very much for your time, and I look forward to hearing the mayor's comments.
And Representative Davis.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. So my colleagues kind of referenced this, but I just, the meta point here at a really high level, I think folks probably heard extensively about the $16 billion budget deficit we were facing. And mathematically, the way that we solved that was a combination of $7 billion in cuts, to some of which I think were actually genuinely government efficiency things, programs that were probably unnecessary, and some of which were really painful, things like rolling back postpartum coverage for women from 12 months to 6 months, things like cutting funding for foster youth, and then $9 billion in taxes. There was a lot of conversation around trying to generate taxes with more progressive revenue options. That largely did not happen. The $9 billion is primarily using existing taxing mechanisms, the business and occupation tax and the sales tax, ostensibly. So I work primarily on 2 issues, behavioral health and public safety, and those take up a disproportionate amount of my time. Things that are kind of specific to Mountlake Terrace, I've been working very diligently to try to kick the doors open for our Linwood Crisis Care Center, which will be a crisis receiving facility for adults to walk in and receive care, self-refer, family referral, or for our first responders, police and fire, to drop individuals off as an alternative to jail or the emergency department. We are trying to figure out the operating mechanism. The provider that we had pulled out at the last minute, and so we've issued an RFP. We had multiple bidders and hope to get the doors open on that soon. Was working on securing funding. We were able to get $15.7 million for those facilities. The bill I'm probably most proud of from this session is a bill, it'll be a brand new program in the state of Washington to launch what are called domestic violence co-responders. Folks are probably familiar with co-responder programs where a mental health professional responds to a mental health call. It's conceptually similar, except in this case, a domestic violence advocate responds after law enforcement summons them to a DV scene after the scene is deemed safe. So it'll generate about $4.2 million per year. The one thing I'll note about that I'm actually quite proud of is it was a fee bill. I stole this idea from Councilmember Mead when he was a representative to increase he was going to do a much lower number, but increase the marriage license fee to cover these services. But it was a bipartisan fee bill, and it was the only one. It was overwhelmingly bipartisan, so I was proud of that. I'll just mention in closing, I know that only because I happened to see it recently, that the city is contemplating flock safety cameras, and I do feel compelled to say something about that because it's a technology I'm extremely familiar with. I serve on the House Public Safety Committee. I have for my entire tenure. The city of Everett actually implemented those cameras last fall, and just within the first few weeks after they implemented them, they had 7 arrests, 7 stolen vehicles were recovered, a firearm was recovered, there were 4 major drug seizures, and they caught a homicide suspect 10 minutes after a murder. So the reason that I believe so much in that technology, and certainly we need to make sure there are protections around privacy and such, but I have historically been an opponent of increasing criminal penalties for offenses, and the reason is that it's well documented in the literature that the severity of punishment does not deter crime. What does deter crime, and it's overwhelmingly demonstrated in the research literature, is the certainty and swiftness of punishment. And in order to do that, you have to be able to catch people who commit crimes in this city. So I'd really encourage the council to seriously contemplate that. And in closing, I'll just say I hope I'll stick around afterwards. If I don't know you, I'd love to meet you. I work for you, in case you didn't know, and would really like to just break bread with folks and be in community. So thanks for having us.
Thank you all for being here. So our theme tonight is celebrating connections. And we feel that this theme fits in many ways for our community. We celebrate new connections that we're making at the light rail station, which opened last fall. But in the larger sense, our city celebrates those connections every single day. It's what we do here in Mountlake Terrace, and you can see connections in the video slideshow that you watched during the reception. We're proud to connect with our community on a variety of different levels, from utilities to services to development to community events and engagement that you'll hear a little bit about later tonight. But even deeper than that, we celebrate those human connections with transparency, with our leadership goals, and the strategic goals that will benefit residents, visitors, and businesses alike. And we think it's important to recognize and celebrate those connections. So I am City Manager Jeff Knighton, and tonight, along with our Mayor, Kyoko Matsumoto Wright, we'll be presenting the state of the city, showcasing where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going. So tonight's agenda, we had the welcome reception earlier where you enjoyed the wonderful catered food from Time Out Restaurant. We thank them for providing that for us this evening. And our State of the City highlights, yes. Our State of the City highlights our past accomplishments, present projects, and future goals. So after our presentation, you'll have a little bit of time to mingle and catch up. I also would like to introduce our City Council. Of course, Mayor Matsumoto Wright is here, along with Mayor Pro Tem Brian Wall. Councilmember Laura Sonmore. Councilmember Rick Ryan. Councilmember Steve Woodard. Councilmember Aaron Murray. And our newest councilmember, Councilmember William Page. Thank you for all that you do to make Mountlake Terrace a great place to live, work, and invest. So, to start out, we want to talk a little bit about our council goals. These council goals, strategic goals, were adopted by council in July of last year. There are 4, and they have really become our watchwords here at City Hall. We filter each of our decision-making through these 4 goals, and it really elevates our thinking beyond the short-term tactics and sets the groundwork for long-term success. The first, growing our vibrant community, means a couple of different things, but it means removing barriers and engaging in partnerships with our business and our chamber, who I see is well represented here tonight. Thank you. And we also want to allow a long-term goal for that growing and vibrant community to allow for a variety of housing options to ensure that everybody that wants to call Mountlake Terrace home can do that. The second one is an informed and engaged community, and really what that means are events like this that we're having here tonight, but also means a robust engagement plan, and we'll talk about a few of those events a little bit later in the presentation. Environmental sustainability and resiliency, very important to us, and we have a project that we're going to highlight a little bit later tonight with the restoration of Hall Creek, which was a major project and very successful. And lastly is responsible governance. It's vital to us to make sure that we use the resources that we're entrusted with in a way that advances the community and advances the priorities of our city council. So a few past accomplishments from last year's State of the City, which was in May of 2024. Our exceptional departments have been extremely busy over the past year, and it really shows. First, we want to start out with recreation and parks. I've got recreation and parks locked in my head because I've been yelled at so many times for calling it parks and recreation. So, recreation and parks, and you can see on the photos here the many programs that we offer, but also the open space opportunities in this community are absolutely second to none. We're very proud of those. The Ballinger Park and Hall Creek Restoration Project it was a partnership with at the federal level with the Army Corps of Engineers, but also state partners and local partners as well. We conducted the design and feasibility work on that project in 2019, and then construction took place in 2023 and 2024. This project focused on bank restoration and the removal of invasive plants and the addition of native plant species. This new channel for Hall Creek slows the water flow, which creates refuge for the wildlife that enjoy the park as much as we do. We also built a new pedestrian bridge and flyover boardwalk, which provides access so folks can enjoy the area as well. The other project highlighted there is the Terrace Ridge Playground installation. One of the things that was installed in spring of 2024, and that was the work, partially the work of our volunteer neighborhood park improvement subcommittee, the NPIS. And that group used city allocated funds to install the structure last spring. And these volunteer members of the NPIS represent all of the neighborhoods and all of the parks throughout our community and make recommendations for improvements to the Recreation and Parks Advisory Commission. Next project I wanted to talk a little bit about is the Veterans Memorial Upper Plateau, right outside on the other side of our library here. We worked with many of the community groups in the area and made connections with the Veterans for Foreign Wars, the VFW, right a couple streets over, and local residents who live near the park. This was a ARPA-funded project, American Rescue Plan Act dollar funded project for the redevelopment of the Upper Plateau area. The plan identified a new natural playground for that area, along with a veterans memorial, a picnic shelter, an accessible entrance, restrooms, and a restored upper lawn. Along with that, we will have a 12-foot wide lighted trail with street trees that runs down to the transit center to make those connections, again, with our transit center and our town center. The planning for this project led to partnerships with the Recreation and Conservation Office at the state, which provided some of the funding, and we're very happy with that partnership as well. You can actually see the work going on today and over the last several months. We expect that project to be done or mostly completed by about November because we don't want to add the new native plantings this time of year. We want to wait until it's a little bit colder so they can be established. The next one there is the Ballinger Park Trails and Viewing Platform. This project is a partnership, again, with Edmonds, our neighbors in Edmonds, and Primera down the road, and a partnership with state funding as well from the Recreation and Conservation Office. That project should start construction this summer, and it will provide the viewing platform, but it'll also provide trails and both three asphalt, mulch, and gravel trails for everybody to enjoy the natural area and enjoy Lake Ballinger and the park. On community events, so we have our signature summer event, which is the 3rd of July family celebration. Last year we had 10,000 people attend that celebration. Absolutely fantastic to come out and enjoy the fireworks and enjoy the community with their families. We just lined up our Terrace Summer Nights Movies and Music program for the summer. And there's the National Night Out every first Tuesday in August every year as a community event. And of course, our holiday tree lighting tradition out here on the Civic Plaza, where we have local school children come and perform. It's a great event. Lots of cocoa. I believe we gave away 600 cookies last year and at least that much cocoa. So very well attended. Some brief stats to share with you because who doesn't like a presentation with statistics? Back in 2023, we had 5 community events. In 2024, we increased that to 13 community events, which was great. This year, we're going to have 16, and we want to keep increasing those community events to allow for those connections that are important to us, and I think important to the community. Finance. I wanted to highlight our finance team here. These folks, most of the time, aren't customer-facing. You don't see them. But they are incredibly vital to every program that we do here at the city, whether it's public-facing or not, and I wanted to make sure that they were celebrated. They don't get a lot of public credit, so we wanted to make sure that happened this evening. Finance had some significant accomplishments this year. The first, we received $5.96 million in American Rescue Plan Act, keep the acronym straight, dollars, and we were able to allocate all of those dollars for projects that advanced community priorities and council priorities. That was a big accomplishment and a lot of reporting when dealing with the federal government. Very proud of the way our finance department handled that. Also, we adopted, in line with our council's new strategic priorities, the 25-26 budget, which was a difficult project and time-consuming, but our finance team did that easily and with great attention to detail, and it was greatly appreciated by the council members who thoroughly reviewed that document. Next, talk about some accomplishments in our Public Works Department. They accomplished a lot of things this year, and I'm going to highlight just a couple of them. The first is our 66th Avenue project. Anybody familiar with the area from 220th down to the Interurban Trail knows that this road was infamous for ruts and potholes. Not a great experience going down that road. Our team was able to repave all of that, and we added those bike lanes for multimodal transportation options and make sure people are able to use different options safely along that route. And we also constructed the ADA ramps to the curb ramps to make sure that we maintain pedestrian or Americans with Disabilities Act compliance. That was a great project. And a lot of people are happy about that. The next one, pedestrian safety, is something that we're focused on. creating a walkable community and the pedestrian safety components. This is the first of many, but the team completed the Safe Routes to School project at 216th and 48th and implemented that, make sure that elementary and high school students have a way to make it to school safely without making sure they have sidewalks and making sure it's safe for them to walk to school. Couple of other highlights. Our Public Works Engineering team completed the Main Street Phase 2 design. That was a heavy lift, but Main Street Phase 2 is along 56th, just one road over here, and it's going to be the centerpiece of our town center, and they collaborated with our Community and Economic Development Department to host an open house back in February where we had 60 attendees. We were able to have one-on-one conversations with each one of those attendees about the project and about their questions. It was a great example of community engagement, talking with people, and making sure people know what's going on in their community, because again, transparency is something that's incredibly important to how we operate. We're also proud that the Public Works team adopted, or the council adopted, Public Works team developed the Stormwater Management Program Plan in compliance with the Department of Ecology. That's important because it's going to mitigate flooding issues around our community, but it's also going to make or ensure that Lake Ballinger stays as clean as it possibly can. It was a big lift and very important to our future, so proud of that. Excuse me. The Public Works team, one of our focuses over the next year, over the next several years, is making sure that we are up to date with all of our emergency management planning. And one of the first steps to that was developing a digital communications for that emergency planning instance. Hopefully it never happens, but we have the tools now, at least some of the tools, to be able to address that if and when it happens. So we implemented, again with American Rescue Plan Act dollars, a digital communications for the emergency planning. That's 800 megahertz radios that will ensure that no matter what happens, all of the city team responsible for taking care of our community in emergency can communicate. So very happy about that. The next project listed there is the West Side Water Main project. That was a massive infrastructure project for our community, and what it does is ensures that we are able to provide a reliable drinking water source for all of the people that call Mountlake Terrace home today and over the next 20 years. We want to be proactive and plan ahead for the future and ensure that we can serve those folks that are going to call Mountlake Terrace home. The goal of our city is always to deliver safe, reliable drinking water, treat our wastewater, and manage our stormwater. And we have many infrastructure projects planned to do just that. This is the first of many that are upcoming. Our Community and Economic Development team had a lot of goals to reach this year, and they did it. Very proud of that team. One of the major accomplishments was developing and then council adopting the comprehensive plan last October, and that will help guide growth over the next 20 years for everything from housing to sustainability to economic development, land use. Everything is in that document, and that kind of gives us a roadmap for how we're going to handle the growth that we expect to come. They also launched a new permit portal, so it makes it easier for people to interact with city government, whether that is a building or land use permit, a business license, a dog license. You can apply for all of those things and get real-time status updates any time of the day that the internet works. The economic development team also conducted business roundtables and developer outreach. And we also recently hired, as I mentioned, our new economic development manager, who is going to be the point of contact for people that are interested in investing in Mountlake Terrace's future. Finally, we welcomed, since our last State of the City last May, we welcomed 60 new businesses to town. Everything from hospitality to health and wellness, family fun, to coffee houses. It's a great accomplishment to be able to welcome that many businesses. And now we get to the city manager's office. So these are great people in the city manager's office, coordinating all the different things our organization is doing. We're a better and more effective team because of the people that I have the honor of working with. A couple of things, light rail I've mentioned, that opened in last August, and I hear from people often since the station opened about how great it is. It's a great amenity for our community. I talked to one young lady a couple of weeks ago who's pursuing her bachelor's degree at University of Washington. And when she first started going to class there, she would have to walk to the bus stop, take the bus down to Northgate, transfer from the bus to the light rail, and then onto campus. She was so happy about the light rail station opening because now she just walks to the light rail station and goes right to campus. It's improved her life in a number of ways. She didn't quite tell me that she wished she had more time to complete her degree. I think it was there. It was close. We're proud to have developed and the council adopt our economic development strategic plan. This plan is well supported by the community. We had a lot of community outreach and interviews with our business community and with residents. And this plan is going to give us a solid roadmap that will produce the vision that the council has for economic opportunity in Mountlake Terrace. And boards and commissions achievements, they are too numerous to list here, but I will say that our 4 commissions, the Arts Advisory, the Recreation and Park, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission, and our Arts Commission, all of those members are extremely committed and dedicated to helping Mountlake Terrace both today and in the future, and their efforts have definitely and will pay off in the future. I'd also just like to note, on a quick note, since the last State of the City, we have hired a new finance director, a new human resources manager, a new public works director, a new community communications and community engagement manager, and a new economic development manager. Plus, there are a lot of new faces across all the departments. We're all committed to making sure Mountlake Terrace is the best it can be today and into the future, and we have a great team. A few of the programs that we've started. The first one that I wanted to mention is the Community Conversations program, and that program, under the leadership of our Deputy City Manager, Carolyn Hope, has done a lot to advance building authentic relationships with people in our community. We think that when you go to community members and you ask for input or ideas on a specific project, that's great, and it absolutely should be done. But in order to build authentic relationships, you need to talk to people when you're not asking for something. And that's exactly what the Community Conversations program is all about. Talking with people about what's happening in Mountlake Terrace, what do they think, and how can we better advance the priorities that these individual communities have. It's been a great program for us. The second one is called Terrace Talks, and it's a quarterly meeting, kind of a town hall style, where I bring a particular project or a program and present that for about 15 minutes, but then I open it up to everyone to ask me basically anything. Ask me any question you want about city operations or anything else, and if I don't have the answer, then I'll make sure to get back to those folks. So the next Terrace Talk is June 11th, and I'll be talking about middle housing. But again, we get questions from all over the place, not just about the topic at hand, and it's again about building that authentic connection with our community and being transparent and open and available. The last one there, the Mountlake Terrace Community Academy, is a program that we launched this year, and the Community Academy it's an introduction to city government, how we do, or what we do and how we do it and why we do it. I think explaining the whys is important. People see City Hall and they're like, I have no idea what goes on in there. We want people to know what goes on in here. And that's what this was all about. It's open to people that are 16 years or older in Mountlake Terrace that live, work, go to school, or worship here in Mountlake Terrace. And when we launched the program, within 3 days, we had 30 people sign up. So there's a lot of interest in what happens in city government, how it works, why it works. started in February, and we went through a 6-week program, everything from the city manager's office and what we do. The group took tours with the Parks Department and learned about recreation programming and the future of our pavilion. They learned about city budget. They learned about community development and economic development. And we provided them with a certificate of completion and thanked them for participating at a recent council meeting. I think the goal is to empower people to engage more with city government and to inspire them to engage more with city government. Come talk to us. We are open and available and want to listen. So you can just see some of the pictures there of the activities that this group went through. We're going to do this every year, and the next Community Academy will be happening next spring, in spring of '26. So with that, I would like to turn this over to our Mayor Matsumoto Wright, to talk about present projects and our future goals.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my glasses out so that I can read the notes. So, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for coming tonight. So I'm Mayor Kyoko Matsumoto Wright, and I'll be covering the current project's highlights, as well as some of our big future goals. Am I supposed to? Oh, you're doing. Yeah. Okay, so first picture. We're working on new tennis courts with new fencing and brand new restrooms at the Evergreen Playfields, enhancing an already tremendous community amenity. And, oh, that's not the Sonics court. It's a tennis court. Trees for parks. This program was designed in 2024, and construction is currently underway to plant 127 trees at Ballinger Park and 49 at Matt Hervela Bicentennial Park, for a total of 176 new trees. This project includes mitigation funds from our partners at Sound Transit. Remember when they came here, they had to cut down a few trees? We replaced them. In addition to planting 176 new trees, Trees for Parks also addresses invasive tree removal and potential hazard trees. So next is the Transit Connection Corridor. This is a large-scale, multi-year capital project designed around the transit station with the goal of creating a safe hub for residents and visitors who will have a clear path from the light rail and the transit plaza through Veterans Park to our new town center. Well, our future town center. Part of it is built now. It will be executed in phases. The design process has taken place over the last several years, starting in 2019 and again in 2023, and is finishing up this year, we hope. In fact, major construction at Veterans Park is taking place right now. Crews have been enhancing the park with improvements like lighted walkable pathways, new signage, installation of a new bridge, and that bridge, I hope you saw the video of how it went in. Invasive plant removal and new tree plantings. The second phase of the Transit Connection Corridor will focus on the Transit Plaza. Adjacent to the transit station parking lot, the city will be installing a public art visible to riders on the train, which our Arts Commission facilitated, and a paved walkway with lighting, benches, and trees, all directly across from the light rail station entrance. And I take light rail quite often, and I sit and I look at where that piece of art is going to go, and you could really see it even sitting down. I can see it, and it's not even there yet. Okay. And we're improving our civic campus by adding more electric vehicles charging stations for our electric vehicles fleet. And we're also making significant investment in backup generators, ensuring that our civic campus will be prepared in case of emergencies or natural disasters. And I don't know if you remember that several years ago when we had our ice storm, we didn't have a generator and we couldn't open City Hall. And the emails also didn't work. We got that taken care of now. Okay. Our Mountlake Terrace Police Department serves and supports our city. Our officers are extremely active in our community. Here are just a handful of highlights from our amazing enforcement team. Our police partnered with the Blue Bridge Alliance by launching a new community outreach program earlier this year to help people when they need it the most. Through the Blue Bridge Partnership, our police officers are provided with debit cards tied to their community-supported fund, enabling them to provide real support to our community members with immediate needs. This program is 100% funded with donations. And I'd like to share a recent story that came about because of the Blue Bridge program. A few months ago, during an icy winter week, one of our officers came across a local man experiencing homelessness. Thanks to the program, our officer was able to buy a winter coat for him right then and there, and as well as connecting him with shelter to warm up and stay safe. Mountlake Terrace Police Department conducts ongoing public outreach with their community-oriented policing model, building trust between police and community, and often partnering with other agencies, cities, and county partners. Our officers never stop training. Whether it's specialist workshops or new certifications, our police department just won the Lexapod Connect Gold Award for Excellence in Law Enforcement Policy Management. Where's the chief? Way to go. Yeah. And summertime is peak event season. Our 3rd of July fireworks celebration is just around the corner. And in Mountlake Terrace, we do it just a little bit different. We celebrate the fireworks on July 3rd so that you can spend your July 4th in your backyard having a barbecue. For Terrace Summer Nights, our lineup includes family favorite movies like Sing 2 and The Princess Bride, and our local bands for our concert series in the park. And thanks to Andrew and Applewick out there, if you can just wave your hand. He worked hard putting this together, and so hopefully we'll have tons of people show up. National Night Out is on August 5th and continues to grow. Our police department throws a summer block party for community members and local organizations, and you're invited. We also do that a little bit differently in our little city because we're only 4 square miles, so we don't have a lot of little pockets of people celebrating our National Night Out. We do it all for the whole city. And this summer, am I on the wrong page?
That was my fault.
And this summer, we're launching a special short-term task force to gain financial insights and input from the community about strategies to bridge the gap between forecasted revenues and expenditures. This task force will be active for several months this year and will be responsible for examining the city's operating budget from a community member's perspective, evaluating ideas, and providing recommendations to the city manager and the city council by the first quarter of 2026. Our public works and operations teams have a lot on their plate this year with a water tank painting and recoating project, which will make our water tank look all shiny and new again, and the coating will help ensure that our water supply is safe and reliable. We are working on a pedestrian safety project to help students at Cedar Way Elementary School to cross 44th Avenue and 223rd Street. We're installing a school zone flashing beacon and a school speed sign at the intersection of 223rd with the help of a Snohomish County grant, which Snohomish County Council member Jared Mead helped us to secure. Thank you, Jared. The community trip reduction, CTR plan, we are working on is developed by the city in coordination with other jurisdictions to establish specific policies and actions that large employers must follow to reduce the number of employees that commute to work alone by car. Washington State requires cities and jurisdictions to create and manage these plans to help meet statewide goals for reducing traffic congestion, air pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions. Employers with 100 or more employees that commute to work between 6 and 9 a.m. are required to comply with the CTR plan by supporting alternative commuting options such as public transit, van pools, carpools, and by offering incentive-based programs to discourage drive-alone trips. Current public works projects continue with stormwater project, inflow infiltration study sewer project, water and sewer comprehensive plans, all of which aligns with our master plan of asset management, infrastructure evaluation, and replacement, and preparing for the future population growth while continuing to provide basic city or services such as clean water and safe streets. And if you didn't understand that, you can always come and ask what it means. Like when I first started, I didn't know what public works was. So no question is a stupid question. Next is our outstanding community and economic development team has been asked with delivering updates on the middle housing zoning code, critical areas code, and general zoning code, and they are working hard to complete these projects. Mountlake Terrace is taking a major step toward addressing its housing needs by creating new middle housing regulations so that we are doing our best to provide opportunity for everyone to call Mountlake Terrace home. As part of putting its land use and housing goals into action, the city is currently working on middle housing code update and a housing action plan. A key focus of this effort is expanding and incentivizing middle housing, such as duplexes, townhomes, cottage housing, and more. In alignment with PSRC's Vision 2044 and recent legislation adopted by the state. We held a community open house on March 26, dedicated to helping our community learn more, ask questions, and share input on topics like middle housing types, urban design-related elements, development trade-offs, and strategies for meeting the city's housing goals. CED is also focused on commercial and residential development, including Town Center, Candela, and Mountlake Village, and many townhome developments. At City Hall, the team is working on executing a comprehensive emergency plan and hazard mitigation plan in collaboration with Snohomish County Department of Emergency Management. In addition to holding ongoing community conversations like quarterly Terrace talks and providing strategic community engagement around each departmental project that would benefit from public input. Part 3 of our presentation is a brief look at some of our future goals that are in the works for 2025, 2026, and beyond. Stepping back and making sure that we see the big picture and we're focused on the long-term strategic planning, some of those long-term projects include citywide branding project to strategically position ourselves in the region along with wayfinding program. It is important for us that when in Mountlake Terrace, our community is unique and recognizable. Community engagement plan, which will bring together departmental projects and connect them with the public for awareness and feedback. Asset management plan, which will ensure an efficient method of tracking city assets. The asset management plan will give us the tools to be proactive and more efficient with the resources that we have. Middle Housing Action Plan, which will further implement the community's vision for providing for a variety of housing choices across the city. The Urban Forest Management Plan, which will execute the preferences of the public when it comes to the balance of urban planning and natural areas. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategic Plan, which will ensure the city is serving everyone in our community. More community events to reach new and diverse residents, locals, and visitors. Veterans Memorial Park improvements. Look for this phase to be completed in the fall. Communication goal of increasing translated material to reach more non-English speaking residents. Being inclusive and welcoming to our entire community is very important to us. Ballinger Viewing Platform and Trails construction is taking place this summer. Community conversations are an ongoing series. Please reach out to us if you would like to learn more. The water tank painting and recoating project, which is going to give our famous water tank a new life. And I don't know if you knew this, but apparently if you're in Kitsap Peninsula, when we have our Christmas tree, or our holiday tree, sorry, at the top, you can see it from Kitsap Peninsula. Can you imagine if we build a building there, what the view would look like? As you can see, we have been very busy and will be for the foreseeable future. We've reached the end of our presentation this evening, and on behalf of everybody at the City of Mountlake Terrace, we'd like to thank you for all your support and for connecting with us. And I think we can all agree that Mountlake Terrace is a special place, and we're proud to be a part of it. We look forward to sharing more exciting accomplishments with you next year, so hopefully you'll come next year. And thank you very much for coming this evening. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you very much for coming, everybody. We really appreciate it. And please grab some food on your way out.
We have lots of food.